Electric cars have been growing hugely in popularity, but those not completely sold on the idea of them often have the same old arguments. They say that the range isn't long enough between charges, that they're far too expensive, and that they don't look like regular cars. Well, this is the new fully electric Kia e-Niro, and it could completely change the face of the electric car market. We're going to tell you exactly what it's like and just how far it will actually go in the real world on a full charge. But before we do any of that, don't forget that if you want to buy a Kia e-Niro or any other new car for that matter, then head to whatcar.com and go to the new car buying section to see how much money we could save you. The Niro is available as a hybrid and plug-in hybrid, but this e-Niro is fully electric. That means there's no petrol engine that goes with it as well. So it's a rival to cheaper but smaller batteried electric cars like the Nissan Leaf and Volkswagen e-Golf, as well as the Hyundai Kona electric. And actually, the Hyundai and this Kia share many of the same key components, like the 201 brake horsepower electric motor and 64 kilowatt-hour lithium-ion battery. That helps the e-Niro cover 0 to 62 miles per hour in 7.8 seconds, which is quicker than what the Leaf and the e-Golf can manage. And it does feel properly swift. Once you're on the move, it builds speed almost as quickly as a Ford Fiesta ST. And because it's an electric car, you don't have to wait for the revs to rise before maximum power is delivered. Simply tread on the accelerator and the car immediately surges forwards. But we would say it's worth being a little bit delicate with your right foot when pulling away from junctions, because actually it's very easy for the wheels to spin, even in the drive. But it's pretty comfortable by electric car standards, whether that's around town or on the motorway. You're jostled about less than you are in a Kona electric, although an e-Golf offers an even smoother ride. As for handling, electric cars don't usually corner as sweetly as petrol and diesel equivalents because of the heavy batteries they have to carry around, and it's no different in the e-Niro. A Seat Ateca, for example, is much more agile, but the Kia still changes direction keenly enough. The steering doesn't give a particularly good connection with the front wheels, but it's nicely weighted and precise. Because there's no engine chugging away under the bonnet, the only sound you get when you're accelerating is the whine of the electric motor. And at low speeds, all you can hear is the space-age sounding synthesized hum to warn pedestrians of the e-Niro's presence. There is a bit more wind and road noise in here than you get in an e-Golf, although it is quieter than a Kona electric. But with electric cars, it isn't just about how quick they are or how great they are to drive. A lot of it comes down to how far you can travel between charges. So in official government tests, the Kia e-Niro managed 282 miles from a full charge. But in our real range tests, which you can read more about by clicking on the link in the top right corner, we managed to get 253 miles in real-world driving conditions. That is an incredible result. And for some context, that matches what the much more expensive Jaguar I-Pace managed, and goes even further than what you'd be able to do in a Tesla Model S. As for cars in this price bracket, well, it'll be able to do around double what you can get from an e-Golf and a Leaf. Plus, it's only a few miles less than what you'd be able to manage in the slightly lighter Kona electric. As for charging it, you can use a Type 2 cable from a regular 7 kilowatt home charging point, and this takes around 9 hours and 50 minutes to recharge to full from empty. If you want to use a domestic 3-pin charging lead, that will take 3 times as long. But for rapid charging, you'll need to find a CCS charging point, and although they're a bit rarer at the minute, there are still well over 1,000 of these dotted around the UK. From one of those, it will give you a 0 to 80% charge in around 75 minutes, which is good, if not quite as quick as a Tesla supercharger. But what's the e-Niro like inside? Now, there's not much visual pizzazz in the e-Niro's interior, but it is at least made of some decent squishy materials, but it's not all good news because these plastic covers down here do feel particularly flimsy. But still, in this price range, it's only really the Volkswagen e-Golf and the BMW i3 that feel a bit better inside than the e-Niro. And actually in here, it feels a cut above the Kona electric and the Leaf. Overall, you get a better driving position in the e-Niro than those two cars as well. You get an 8-way electrically adjustable driver's seat as standard with lumbar support, and also there's plenty of adjustment for both height and reach in the steering wheel. So there's plenty of scope to get a comfortable driving position. Visibility isn't a problem. You get a great view out of the front and over the shoulder thanks to these decent sized side and rear windows. The view out of the back is better than in the Kona electrics as well. Front and rear parking sensors, as well as a reversing camera, are standard. This 8-inch touchscreen infotainment system comes as standard, and it gets DAB radio, Bluetooth, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, a sat-nav, and this impressively punchy 8-speaker JBL sound system. Now, in this class, BMW's excellent iDrive system in the i3 leads the way. So the Kia's infotainment system isn't quite up there with the very best, but it won't leave you feeling frustrated because it has clear menus and nice, crisp, bright graphics as well. It also has some helpful EV-specific functions on it. So, for example, the sat-nav can help you find your nearest charging station, and you can also monitor exactly what is using the car's energy when you're on the move or stationary. The only slight annoyance though is that while you have these helpful physical shortcut buttons down here, actually some of the buttons on the screen are a little bit on the small side, so they can be a bit difficult to prod when you're on the move. As for the space up front, there's plenty of room for tall drivers. And from the outside, it might not look like a particularly big car, but actually inside you get a really nice wide interior, so there's more room than you get in the Kona Electric. There's also plenty of storage compartments as well. So 2 cup holders in this big cubby hole here. Underneath the gear selector, you've got this big space down here and somewhere for your wallet and phone above it. You also get some door bins as well, but they're a bit on the shallow side. In the back, this is one of the most spacious cars in the class, so there's significantly more head and legroom than you get in an e-Golf and Kona Electric. So even passengers over 6 feet tall won't feel hemmed in. As for the boot, well, surprisingly, even though the e-Niro gets a bigger battery under the floor, it actually has a bigger boot than the hybrid versions of the Niro. Don't forget as well, there's a handy storage compartment for the charging cables under the boot floor here. It's a square shape with virtually no load lip at entry, and compared to mainstream SUV rivals like the Nissan Qashqai and Renault Kadjar, actually the e-Niro has a very similar boot size. Just for reference, we managed to fit 5 carry-on suitcases into the load bay, which is 1 more than the Kona Electric, but 2 fewer than the Leaf. Like pretty much every other electric car, the rear seats fold in a traditional 60-40 configuration, unlike the more convenient 40-20-40, which you get in many mainstream rivals. With the rear seats down, there's only a slight incline, which is less pronounced than the one that's left in the Kona Electric. The e-Niro is priced slightly above the e-Golf and Leaf, but way below premium rivals like the Jaguar I-Pace and Tesla Model S, which also offer similar ranges to the Kia. It costs about the same to buy as a 64 kilowatt-hour Kona Electric, and both are eligible for the £3,500 grant from the government. The e-Niro is only available in 1 trim, but it's absolutely packed with kit. So you get things like 17-inch alloys, climate control, adaptive cruise control, automatic lights and wipers, leather seats, heated seats in the front, a heated steering wheel. There's tons of kit as standard. In fact, there aren't really that many optional extras, so the only one that's worth stumping up some extra cash for is this metallic paint. Kia also has a brilliant reputation when it comes to reliability, but for even greater peace of mind, the manufacturer's outstanding 7-year, 100,000 mile warranty comes as standard. There's also some helpful active safety aids to help you avoid an accident, including automatic emergency braking and lane keeping assistance. The Kia e-Niro has pulled off a trick that many other electric cars have failed to do. Not only is it a brilliant electric car, but it's a brilliant car, full stop. With a 250-mile real-world range, strong acceleration, a generous equipment list and a spacious interior, this is an incredible trailblazer for mainstream adoption of electric cars. We understand that electric cars won't be able to seamlessly fit into every driver's lifestyle, but for those that do want to take the electric step, the Kia e-Niro is utterly compelling. For much more on the e-Niro, including our extended review of it and all of its key rivals, head to whatcar.com. And don't forget that you can buy your next car with Whatcar, and hopefully we can help you save a lot of money in the process. When you're on whatcar.com, go to the new car buying section to find out more. But before you do any of that, click subscribe to keep up to speed with the latest new car video reviews.